So a couple of previous questions, if you remember, we discussed that I can define an airway using navigation aids. And so here I'm using two different VORs to define airway. So this airway is basically between the radius 090 of the VOR A and 270 radial of VOR B. That is how the airway is constructed. And we also saw that as per ICAO requirement, every airway has a 5 nautical mile buffer, and if you are within that 5 nautical mile buffer either side, you are considered to be within the limits of the airway. If you are out of that, then you are in trouble. You should come back to the airway, right? Therefore, what they're asking here is that if the VORs have a likely error of 5.5 degrees, is it 5.5? Yeah, 5.5 degrees, which means that what is the meaning of an error or accuracy of 5.5 degrees? It means a plus or minus 5.5 degree, which means when the VOR gives you a, say for example, a QDR of 90 degrees, it could be anywhere between 0.85 and 0.95. That is the meaning of plus or minus 5 degree error, right? Similarly, if the QDR is say 270, as in this case, it could be anywhere between 275 and 265 and still accepted. Make sense? So in this case, what radial is outbound from VOR A? What are we on what radial are we outbound? It's radial 090. So when I say the radial is 090, it could be anywhere between radials 0.85 and 0.95. Make sense? Yes. What is the inbound radial to VORB? If you're moving from A to B.
At 270.
270.
Plus.
And with this error, yes. It could be anywhere between 275 and 265 radial. Right? Make sense? Alright, so now you can see that if the aircraft is anywhere within these radials, it is still accepted to be within the airway limit. But if you go beyond these radials, then we have a problem. Right? So say for example, if I want, this is not really intersecting perfectly, let me just I'm just making a small modification to get it right. Alright, you're asked to find out what is the maximum distance apart the beacons can be situated on the center line of an airway in order that an aircraft can guarantee remaining within the airway boundary. So when do we say that the aircraft remains within the airway boundary? So that is what we have seen before, that if this is the airway defined by two navigation aids, say for example A and B, then if you are within how many nautical miles?
15.
5 nautical miles either side, you are assumed to be within the airway. So even if you are anywhere in between this, you are still within the airway limits, right? Therefore, what is the width permissible between of width of an airway that is permitted? You can be is 10 nautical miles. 5 nautical miles either side, which means this should be 5 nautical miles and this should be 5 nautical miles. So 5 and 5 is 10, right?
So we thought that your experience might be
a different value. Okay. So two VORs A and B. This is 090 out and this is 270 inbound. Yeah, so what are radials now? This is 0.84 or 8.5 and this is a radial of 0.95.5. Right? Yes, what about the other one? Decimal 5 and this is C is 4.5. Yes. What is this width? ICAO requirement is 5 nautical miles, right? So what is the angle? This angle is 5.5 degrees. Understood? You're asked to find out what should be the distance between these two aids if this has to be satisfied. Now how will you find out?
So directly we can take this 5.5 as a cruising track error.
That's
And
right.
this 5 nautical mile as the
Distance off.
Distance off. So that we calculated is 54.5 nautical mile. One side. So
Yeah.
like double that.
How much is that?
54.5 to 109 nautical miles.
That's right. So distance should be 109 nautical miles. What if the distance is less than this?
Means we are within the range.
Well,
No.
if I keep the distance
Means
between the
accuracy is
the width is still how much? 10 nautical miles. To accommodate 10 nautical mile width, you see what is going to happen to the angle?
increased.
It's going to be more than 5.5, which is not acceptable. That is why it's impossible. What if it is further more than 109?
Angle will be less.
It will be lesser, which means we are not looking at the maximum possible limit. Understood? So if I take 5.5 from here to keep the maximum possible limit, now the width of the airway will go more than 10 nautical miles. Right, that is why we are looking at that right distance between two VORs, which can give 10 nautical mile width for the airway with 5.5 degrees of error. Perfect. That's it. You will find similar questions for your test paper, so you can try to do that. There is one more PDF that I sent you for VOR. Try doing that. We will discuss that in the next class for sure. But you can just try doing that if you have time. But you don't have to send me it and start. We'll discuss it in the class anyway. But the homeworks you'll have to do and send it to me today.